welcome to the channel, Karthikeya Rao. Thank you for taking out your time to be on the channel. A warm welcome.
Thank you so much, Joby. Lovely to be here.
Thank you, Karthik. So, Karthik, for the benefit of our viewers, may I please request you to give a little background about, what you've done, what you're doing, Karthik?
Okay, I am, or I like to call myself a sports entrepreneur. I've been involved in the world of sport for 18 years now. What started off as a scope job, understanding what the entailments of sport was before sport was even a career choice, turned out into a very fulfilling till date career, if I may call it. I still think I'm a work in progress. I still think I'm still very foolish and very hungry. But it's taught me a lot, and I mean, it's so I've worked across sport, Joby, from in the commercial realm, things like I've worked with agencies, sports agencies, which look at talent management, sponsorship, sales, IP creation, media management. I then worked in a sports research company, which actually took consumer data and research numbers and built a story and a narrative around that. I then went and worked in the media. I worked with NDTV 24/7. I had this desire in me to be in front of camera and to anchor and present sport. So I worked with NDTV 24/7 and actually anchored sport, the morning daily bulletin.
Wow.
I then went off and started my own sports agency, just dove into the deep end and sort of started swimming. Fortuitously, at that stage, all these new sports leagues were coming up around 2013. So I was able to kind of get involved with a bunch of those. The last 2 years or so has been focused on pivoting into the world of gaming. And that's what essentially keeps me busy day to day now.
So, Karthik, you mentioned 18 years and sports, So that was a time when sports, I mean, besides people fooling around, and there were people who were playing professionally, but nowhere near the scene that we see today in India. So there must have been a lot of doubt. So how did you get into that world? What drove you there? What took you to that journey of sports, Karthik?
So it's really very simple. I think the journey starts from a little poster up in my father's office. My father worked with a big Indian conglomerate, and he was a lifer there. He worked there for 31 years. And he had this board above his desk, and it was a little poster of a man pushing an ice cream cart. And I think it was a Reader's Digest pull-out or something like that. And at the bottom it said that choose a job you love, and you'll never have to work a day in your life. And growing up, that message just stayed in my head. And I think it's a fair time to tell our viewers right now that where we and where and how we met, because that's pivotal to the story right now. So for everybody out there, Joby was my boss at my first job ever out of college. So Joby was my team leader at American Express in back-end customer operations. I eventually spent about 3.5 years at American Express. But I think somewhere after that 2-year period, when I actually became a full-time employee and all the rest of it, I think I realized that I couldn't do this for the rest of my life. And while I was a very efficient worker, I still believe I am even now with mechanical tasks. I think I wanted more from what I did on a daily basis. And that's when I looked at sport. So really, that was the story. And I wasn't a really good sportsman, I must tell you that. I played everything. But I think eventually when I realized, and I had a hard talk with myself, and I think maybe my father at the time, and I said, listen, I can't be sitting coming up with new processes and process improvements and how to keep delighting customers. And I said, that's not really my jam. I was the youngest to be promoted. I was the first SME for my department.
Wow.
With the youngest in Amex till then. And I mean, despite that, of course, it was, great and all of that, but I knew that I was done, and that's when I started looking at the world of sport. And actually, even before that promotion in 2002, I'd already started looking at the world of sport and what I can do. So my father put me in touch with a sports agent. He didn't know what this gentleman did, actually what his job was. But he was a connected person. He did a lot of work in cricket. And I started engaging with him, I think in early 2002. And I also didn't know what I could do in sport, right? So started talking, looking, discussing, and eventually I went and met this gentleman towards the end of 2002. So it took me 6-8 months to get a meeting with him. You know, he explained to me, and it sounded very fascinating. And lo and behold, I put in my papers in American Express. I remember on the 29th of December, I think it was, if it was a Friday, or the 30th even. And I started working with him on the 6th of January 2003. So I just took a week off, just over that New Year Eve period. And I started working with him on the 6th of January. So, and that really just, it just opened my whole world up to what the entailments of sport was and could be. Definitely baptism by fire. So we did a lot of talent management. We worked with the biggest, you know, teams and leagues and sponsors. At that stage, TVS was a sponsor of Indian cricket. We worked with TVS. We worked with Indian Oil, who sponsored a bunch of tournaments and talent and got into cricket. So, I mean, it was a really exposing job. And my boss gave me all the power, Joby. I cannot even tell you. He knew I was capable, even though I was a newbie, complete newbie. But, you know, because of my communication skills, because of my listening skills, because of my also then reacting skills, right? I mean, to take all that, to take a brief and then work on it and churn something out. So mota moti, I was good at what I did. Even though if I didn't know something, you know, I went on and figured it out. So problem solving. But he really believed in me and he really trusted me. And I guess it was a two-way cycle. You know, I didn't belie his faith in me at any time, and I kept working harder to please him and to, you know, learn more.
I believe you also went and studied sports overseas. Is that correct?
Yes. There came that time where I said, listen, I need to go and, you know, do my higher degree now. It's now or never kind of thing, right? So I went and I decided, I said, listen, I don't want to do an MBA just like any other MBA. I love sport. I'm invested in sport, and I really want to take this story forward. What sets me apart? And I think that's very key, and maybe we can, you know, talk about it a bit later, but I've always wanted to be boldly different. I've never wanted to be just one of the many, right? And I don't think it's right or it's wrong. It's just who I am. Yeah. And you know, and just to give you an insight into that, you know, in my 12th board exams, you know, we have 5 subjects, right? You choose your stream and you do 5 board exams. Right. At the end, so I chose the liberal arts in my high school, but at the end of the 11th grade, I got a bit of a kida in my head, where my class teacher, who's my history teacher, he said, listen, you know, math is a good subject. And, you know, so at the end of the 11th grade, Joby, I took up maths as my 6th subject.
Really? Wow. Wow.
So I did 6 board exams in the 12th grade just because I wanted to do it, just because I thought I could do it. You know, that belief that you can conquer the world, as stupid as it may seem at the age of 17, you know, that feeling kind of continued through my life in my head. And somewhere I think I still believe it. I just think that the ways to get there, obviously you keep refining and you find more efficient and higher keys to success and measures of success. But I still believe I can do any and everything if I set myself to it. And not just individually, but, you know, to create that context to be able to achieve. So that really was that. So I said, listen, I'm not going to just be another MBA. I want to go and do my master's in sport business. And I went and did it. So that was 2004, 2005. I went to the UK and did a 1-year master's. And there never was a shred of doubt that I wanted to come back to India. You know, I didn't even attempt to find a job there. I did try to find internships because, you know, it's quite a tight time to do your master's. It's just an intensive 1-year program. But there was never a shred of doubt that I wanted to take all those learnings and all those, you know, insights and all that brain development that I believe I had undergone, and then apply it to the Indian sport ecosystem.
So you had this whole platform in the UK, which is such a sports-oriented country in the sense there's so much of industry. The sports industry is so big, and yet you didn't have even a second thought in terms of sticking around and coming back to India. Wow.
Zero, Joby. Yeah, absolutely zero. Because I really, you know, I loved my life here in terms of what, you know, that first job had given me in sport. And I still, by the way, had that job waiting for me when I came back. Despite the fact that, and I don't know if I would have even got a job in the UK, right? I mean, that's all moot. But the point is that it never struck my mind, because the kind of exposure I was getting, the kind of work I had the ability to do, the freedom that my boss gave. My boss made all the inroads. Of course, he was that, that entrepreneur. And I was working on the biggest pitches on the, Kabhi, you're making a pitch to a new brand. Then, there's these lovely dinners we did for Andrew Flintoff, his benefit year, which, we had an auction. I'm just saying the kind of stuff that you had the ability to be exposed to was different level. And I really thought at that stage as well, that if I have all of this waiting for me, and the world of cricket is, of course, at that stage was sport, right? I mean, today we have a lot more options, but back in 2004, 2005, 2006, it was just really cricket that was the opportunity. And since I've already got somewhat of a name and I'd worked, it just made too much sense not to go back and address that and add your learnings and your, whatever I wanted to apply. So no, I actually didn't want to find a job, and I didn't want to stay back. And in fact, it's really funny because my boss, at the end of my year, once my exams were done, my boss actually made a trip to the UK and brought a couple of colleagues down, and we had a bunch of meetings. We met with, Surrey County Cricket, and we met with NatWest, and we met with some research. I mean, the idea was anything is on the table, right? And one of those things, which then became a sort of a prologue, so to say, to this whole story of what happened next, was we started talking to a company that was getting involved or was involved in research. That was what I wanted to do, because I didn't want to sell advertising space anymore in a cricket ground. I'd done all of that. It was boring. So with all these new learnings of mine, I wanted to go and apply all these new concepts to what else we can do. And eventually, that's what happened. My next job after I left, working with this agency the following year in 2006, I went and joined a company that was involved in sports research. And I still believe this. I think knowledge is king. When and how you apply it is appropriate to the context. So that's how that happened.
So Karthi, you're always thinking of doing something different. So is there, what are you doing now that's, that's away from mainstream, so to speak,
So, Joby, I'll put a sort of corollary to when I say I want to do something different. I've realized over time that yes, I always want to do different things, and I want to be different because I find stereotypes are really limiting. Yeah. So for me, what is my different is that I will almost always be in my box. Okay. But in my box, I will be all over. So I understand the limitations of my personality or of my mind or of my apprehensions. But I know once I know my limits and I know my box, I'm crazy in that. What I'm working now on personality-wise and mind-wise is to expand the box at all times and also maybe open the box somewhat to let others affect you and you affect others. So the safety of this box is what I'm now trying to work on to kind of maybe give it a little bit more. And what helps me do that actually is engage with younger people. So today's 25 or 27-year-old is a different beast. It's just amazing to be around younger people today. People who are 10, 15 years younger than you. I get to learn from them every day. I appreciate their poise. I appreciate their clarity. I appreciate their stupidity, even. It's a little bit, a very little part of how I was maybe in my early 20s, perhaps. But it keeps you on your toes. It keeps you, the dream and the ability and the gumption even, maybe some of the things that I lacked in my personality. I see in these people today, and it's supremely empowering. So what's actually been the change for me in the last couple of years, as I briefly mentioned at the top of this show, was I'm now involved in gaming. So it's not very different because, as we know today, being involved in gaming is a no-brainer. It's everyone's reading every few weeks and months, everyone's raising a boatload of money. But within the realm of gaming, I chose to do something which was different. So gaming was my box, but within that box, my little madness is that, I'm a co-founder in a company that runs a chess gaming app. And the uniqueness or the unique opportunity for us, and we started working on this 2.5 years ago, was that there is no real, like how IPL was for cricket. So cricket was going on, and you had and suddenly IPL came, and it was just this intervention, this repackaging. So that's what we're trying to or attempting to do in chess. The chess is going fine, but we need this, we need that spike, and we believe, or we'd like to be that spike. So we're a chess gaming app. Our brand is called Wow Chess. I know that we've already put ourselves on a pedestal by calling ourselves Wow. But when between us co-founders, when we discussed the name of Wow Chess, I told them this. I said, listen, we're putting ourselves on a pedestal. We're telling everybody else that we are Wow. It's not intrinsic, to what we want to deliver. We have to deliver it. It's out there, and we're going to be judged on it every single day, with every single customer interaction, with every single product feature, with every single thing we do. If we are not Wow, we will never be there. So we thought long and hard, and that was my learning that I brought into our brand name, that we need, and of course we're a small team, and it's not that relevant yet, right? But as we grow and as our ethos evolves, I really want that to be core to what we do, and it is. And every brief I give to every staff member, every intern, every agency, anybody, is that we need to be Wow. We are calling ourselves Wow. We need to be Wow. So think Wow. So that's what I'm currently involved with. It's a chess gaming app, and I will just say this, that during the 1 year of lockdown from last April till now, chess has globally received a huge bump in its profile, in the way the sport, and I will call it a sport, has spawned. It's hugely encouraging, and it's hugely exciting, the opportunity. And we're trying our darndest, of course, to own the space, since there's no other made in India chess app for India kind of thing. So we want to be those guys before, we have global aspirations.
Fantastic, Karthik. So Karthik, regrets on coming back from the UK, coming back here? You seem to be all, your hands are full. I mean, I doubt there would be a regret. Sorry to jump, but
No, not at all. Zero. I actually, Joby, I very clearly live my life with zero regrets. And I know it sounds a bit like, sort of some mental conditioning or whatever it is, maybe it is. But for me, I very rarely look back. And once I take a call or make a call, I own it. And then you go forward. And maybe you need to reconsider it weeks, months down the line, maybe. I never say that everything I do or believe in is cast in stone, not at all. But once I work with that premise, that understanding, that sort of zero, and then I move forward,
fantastic.
It is what it is. Zero regret. Life is too short for certain things, and life is too long for certain things. And life, according to me, is too short to have regrets. Having said that, it's not too short to remedy a regret, but zero regrets.
Karthik Rao, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your views, and wish you all the very best in all your ventures, Karthik.
Joby, thank you so much. I love your show. I love listening to them. I've heard so many of them. They're truly inspiring to me still. And I hope, this interaction will evoke some feelings, some thoughts in our viewers to, go out there and do it. And, it's that time of where we're sitting amidst the pandemic. So I think we all need a little hope. We all need an encouragement. And I hope, viewers got that today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much once again.
Thanks.